Hi, this is Molly Kellgren. Thanks for joining me for today's webinar, Mastering Health Science Foundational Skills with Hands-on Learning Aids. Today, our objectives are to review foundational health science skills tools that Realityworks has to offer. We'll talk through curriculum, lessons, activities, and assessments that are included with each of the products. I'll also throw out some implementation tips to give you ideas about how you can use these products in your classroom. So let's get started talking about our foundational health science tools. Our first tool is the Medical Terminology Class Kit. This is a great way to get your students engaged in a topic that historically has not been seen as very interesting. Our kit comes with color-coded blocks for prefixes, suffixes, root words, and connecting vowels. With one set of blocks, there are over 800 words that can be created. And this kit comes with 10 sets of these blocks, which makes for great classroom management. The kit comes with 20 student glossaries. These glossaries follow the curriculum outline and allow students to basically make their own medical terminology dictionary that they can keep and refer to over and over again. Additional glossaries can be purchased if you need to replenish your supply. There is an online curriculum that consists of 17 different lessons. It begins with understanding word parts and then moves into terminology based on body systems. So on our next slide, we will review the actual lessons that are included in the curriculum. The next component are flashcards. These are part of the online curriculum, but they can be printed too if you choose. There are over 1,400 flashcards to help students familiarize themselves with medical terminology. There are also 35 context cards. These are also available in the online curriculum as well. In those context cards, students also have the opportunity to hear different words being pronounced. So they get the auditory component of being able to hear things as well. So you can see that our medical terminology class kit is a very robust product. Here is the title of each of the 17 lessons included in the curriculum. The initial lessons, again, help students understand the actual word parts and how they function. Then the lessons are broken into the various body systems. This type of organization is very helpful because students learn words that are related to one another at the same time. Recognizing that a particular root word, for example, is associated with a particular body system can help them recognize other words that are similar and start to more quickly be able to break those words apart to understand meaning. Here's an example of one of the assessments included in the curriculum. Assessments vary from lesson to lesson depending on the product. Sometimes they are knowledge-based quizzes like what's shown here. Other times they are practice skills demonstrations. So keep in mind that there is variation between products. So how can you implement the use of the medical terminology kit in your classroom? There are so many ways. Some schools have a standalone medical terminology course. Of course, using this product for that class seems obvious. But once your students move on from the foundational course and they move into learning specific content about body systems, pull this kit back out and use the corresponding lesson again. As we all know, repetition is never a bad thing. With the 10 sets of blocks, you can split your class into small groups of 2 or 3 or 4, and then create some competition. Which group can create the most words in a 10-minute period of time? Who can write down the correct definitions of those words? Which team ends up with the highest score? We all know that a little competition can provide very high levels of student engagement. Our next product is the Medical Math Class Kit. This program comes with 20 student workbooks, a spiral-bound curriculum, and then an online curriculum presentation as well. The medical math curriculum starts with the basics, fractions, decimals, ratios, and percentages, and then moves into more complicated conversions and measurement systems, and then gets into actual medication dosage issues, how to prepare injections, and finishes out with the most complicated things, including how to calculate for infusions, including coming up with manual drip rates. Here's an example of one of the student activities within the medical math curriculum. This one is from the very first lesson. You can see that it gives students step-by-step instructions for solving problems during the lesson. They will then have a chance to prove their abilities during the assessment portion of the lesson. But the beauty of this format is that there aren't any assumptions made about what students know prior to starting the lesson, which really puts all of your students on an even playing field. When you're ready to integrate medical math into your own course, you have options with the way this program was designed. You have a spiral-bound curriculum as well as physical workbooks at your disposal. And you have the same components available in the online format. The content between the two is identical. What this means for you as the teacher is that you have the freedom to decide which portions of the curriculum you'd like to assign to students to complete independently versus what you would like to cover in class. For example, you may assign the first couple of lessons as homework for the students and then complete the rest of the curriculum during in-person class time. Or conversely, if you have students that lack the basic math skills they need to be successful, you may devote class time to those foundational lessons to ensure they have the basic skills mastered. You have choices. Next is our healthcare interpersonal skills program. This comes with physical curriculum and online components as well as 10 sets of 22 scenario cards. This information is so helpful to any student entering the healthcare arena, regardless of specialty area. These truly are global skills that will benefit everyone. Let's talk about what the topics actually are. The Healthcare Interpersonal Skills Program is almost like two programs in one. The first 10 topics you see listed here are covered in the spiral-bound curriculum and student workbooks. Communication, teamwork, problem solving, critical thinking, work ethic, listening, responsibility, patience, trust, and integrity. You can see how vital these skills are to anybody entering the healthcare arena. The last topic, empathy, actually has 8 online lessons devoted to that one topic. We at Realityworks really believe that empathy is one of the most vital skills for anyone involved in direct patient care to possess. Spending extra time and effort in this topic area can be extremely effective in creating caregivers that we will all want taking care of us and our family members in the future. So here's an example of one of the 22 scenario cards included with the curriculum. Since there are 10 sets of these cards, you can use them in a number of ways. Think, pair, share, small group discussions. Some teachers choose one and have a large group icebreaker discussion at the beginning of a class. As an alternative, if you have some writing assignments that need to be incorporated into your course, you can have students provide written answers to the key questions that each scenario asks. Some teachers complete all the topics sequentially and back-to-back in a standalone course. Others may use these topics in a supplemental way in a different course, but introducing a new soft skill topic each week to layer on top of the other course lessons. So maybe week 1, your focus is communication, and week number 2, your focus is teamwork, but that's on top of the content that you're covering in your course additionally. The topics on the scenario cards could also be used as inspiration for another assignment for students to complete. For example, the difficulty is in communication of medication instructions on the scenario card on your screen. Perhaps an assignment could be for students to create a visual aid that they could give to a patient like Douglas in order to help them understand their medication instructions. Next is our ethical and legal issues in healthcare program. This gives your students a great foundation for learning about and exploring different situations that they will encounter at some point during their healthcare careers. but they get to explore them in the safety of the classroom. This kit comes with student workbooks and our favorite scenario cards. The teacher resources can also be accessed online, and they can be downloaded as well. Every time we offer student workbooks, please notice that we have them available for purchase to replenish your supplies whenever you need it. Here are the 10 lesson topics in the ethical and legal issues in healthcare curriculum. The topics are rich and deep and lead to great conversation. Often, these are conversations that students never even imagine having with patients, families, or their fellow healthcare providers, but they soon recognize how important this information is and how deeply these topics will affect how they deal with certain situations when they start their professional practice. They will have these ethical and legal issues come up in their everyday work life, and having them understand that working through all this prior to actually starting their professional practice is so very important. Here's another example of an assessment that's included for one of the topics in this curriculum. This is from the first lesson, Legal Responsibilities and Implications. These post-assessments give you great insight into understanding which topics the students really understood well and which topics might need a little more time and attention. Similar to other products that include the scenario cards, there are different ways to incorporate use of them into your classroom. These scenario cards really give students the opportunity to start practicing using their voice in a professional manner. Undoubtedly, there will be differing opinions and thoughts with these really rich topics. So giving students an opportunity to practice what to do when confronted with situations like this is invaluable. Next is our soft skills program for caring for patients with intellectual disabilities, mental illness, or PTSD. This is a great program to help students gain exposure to situations that can be extremely challenging in real life if they've never seen it or heard it before. The MP3 players provide audio tracks for dementia and audio hallucinations. These immersive experiences are really powerful for students to experience and gain empathy in understanding what our patient populations are experiencing. It can help them work through how they might alter their normal way of providing care to help in this specific community of patients. These have proven to be powerful experiences that students don't forget. Here are the lesson topics for the soft skills program for caring for patients with intellectual disabilities, mental illness, or PTSD. So you can see again how rich and deep the conversations can be and the content in the curriculum is, and coming up with strategies for how to care for these particular patient populations will serve them well when they start their own bedside practice. Here's an example of a summative activity for students to work through at the end of a lesson. This is a wonderful example of having lifelike situations to work through that are not black and white, but are so realistic and true to the challenges they can experience when they're in the workforce. Again, completing these activities and having a safe place to discuss alternatives is so important to student growth. Next is our AED trainer. We're going to talk now about a couple of products that are great to incorporate into your CPR and emergency type of training experiences in your classroom. So again, AED trainer, this one is a really safe alternative for learning life-saving procedures. With our trainer, there is no actual defibrillation or shock delivered through the trainer. So your students can practice with the pre-programmed scenarios to learn the psychomotor skills needed to be effective in emergency situations. This trainer is appropriate for practice with adult and pediatric scenarios. There is one lesson of curriculum with this product, and it's titled Cardiac Arrest Management and AED. Here's the post-test for this lesson of curriculum. This portion of content is easily integrated into your curriculum activities, including CPR, use of bag valve mask, and emergency airways. So the next in our emergency training products is the BVM trainer. Learning how to effectively give rescue breaths using a mask is a vital emergency skill for students to learn. Our trainer gives immediate feedback about the volume of air being supplied to the lungs, as well as the rate of the breaths being given. Students can practice independently and get the information they need to gain competence and confidence in their skills. The BVM trainer is another component of your emergency training for students, exposing them to emergency situations when they get a chance to work through their nerves and the adrenaline. It's so important. So when the real thing happens, they're able to rely on the muscle memory they get from practicing on trainers like ours. You can see the 3 lessons of the curriculum that is included with this product. The last of our emergency products that we're going to talk about today is our Infant Health and Safety Pack. So this safety pack is a set of 2 babies. One is a choking baby, and the other is an infant CPR mannequin. These babies come with 27 scenario cards, curriculum, student workbooks, and 2 posters that you can hang in your classroom. So they're a great way to decorate, but also give you great factual information about caring for babies in these emergency situations. The curriculum for the babies are split into the 2 different topics: airway obstruction and emergency infant CPR. So you can see the topics of the lessons there. Here's an example of an assessment that is a skills checkoff. You can see that there is a great amount of detail and information, so students and teachers both know what is being assessed. Makes for great transparency. This removes the mystery involved with skills evaluations and can help ease the students' anxiety because they know exactly what is being looked for. So again, these last 3 products, the AED trainer, the BVM ventilation trainer, and the Infant Health and Safety Pack, are all great choices for inclusion in your coursework that deals with emergency situations. You could set up all 3 products around your classroom and have the students rotate through each one. Having them practice giving feedback to each other using the skills checkoff sheets is also a great idea. It can help them learn to give constructive feedback to their peers and lightens the load a little bit for you as the instructor while they're practicing. Our last product to talk about today is our blood pressure simulator. Our blood pressure simulator can be used on standardized patients, mannequins, or students can use it on each other. One of the great things about this simulator is that students can practice over and over again. With a normal blood pressure cuff, students are limited on how many times they can practice on one another because of the pressure on their arms when inflating the cuff so often. We've enhanced the cuff on our product so it does not actually inflate. So there is no limit to how many times they can practice on each other over and over and over again. The electronics box gives students feedback at the touch of a button to check to see if their reading matches the electronics box. There's also an indicator on the screen that lets students know if they are releasing air from the cuff too quickly, too slowly, or just right. We know that's one of the hardest parts of this skill is being able to release the air at an appropriate rate. So this electronics box gives the students that information right on the screen. The curriculum for the blood pressure simulator is very straightforward, working through the procedures in a clear and concise way. Here is the skills checkoff sheet for the instructor to use when evaluating students. Having a vital signs lab day is a great opportunity for students to practice gathering all of their vital signs data, with blood pressure being one station. So that's what we have to offer today in terms of our foundational skills building tools here at Realityworks. Please scan the QR code that will send you to a little form that can connect you with your Realityworks account manager once you finish filling that out. Just some brief questions there for you. You can get free quotes, you can ask questions, and everything through the use of this QR code. So that's great. We're going to move into our question and answer portion of the session now. So I am going to hand things back to Kelsey. And again, thank you for joining me today for our webinar. I hope you have a great rest of your day.